Isaac Sarason is a skilled hacker, formerly employed by British Telecom-Sprint. When his health failed, Isaac did the only thing he could think of. He ran. He found a haven in a working-class district of the city known as Little Russia. There Isaac took on a new name, Ishmael. He then became embroiled in the affairs of a brutal member of the Lamadiza organized crime family, known as Leo. Convinced by his longtime friend Frankie to flee from his commitments to the Lamadiza family, Isaac found himself hunted by the ruthless Leo. On a rooftop, far from witnesses, Leo murdered Frankie. Only through the use of his skills as a hacker was Isaac able to drive Leo off. Wounded, alone, and far from help, Isaac depended on the kindness of strangers. One stranger, a burqa-wearing doctor known as Fatima, took pity on Isaac and helped him make his way to the mysterious Star X line. At the end of all hope, they found the Star X line and the slim promise that the enigmatic beings behind the Star X could save Isaac from the implants which destroyed his life. What do you do when those who saved you have recorded everything you are? What do you do when your every action is tracked by the Keylogger? Colbyjack.net is proud to present Firmware Keylogger, the third installment in the firmware pentology by Colbytrax. I moved around Kawan and silenced him with a laugh. Where did you get this tripe? You sound as if you're repeating lines from every William Wallace movie ever made. Take what is ours! What does that even mean? You aren't any different than the settled simians. You want the world tied up in a blanket of uniformity controlled by the largest of you. From the oaths I witnessed, I think you are trying to become the next Simian One Police Plaza. Don't forget, I saw you implant your code into that pharaoh who became Murgan. I know you are pulling the strings behind all your words of freedom and justice. The only freedom is for Kuan, and there will be no justice. I felt anger rise in the barbarian Kuan. Had I gone too far? He moved through the net suddenly. I felt a clumping as data flowed past me and into Kuan. You are a disassembler, a questioner. You never stop to enjoy the moment or dream of something bigger. I felt a request for a data connection coming from Kuan. What is that? I asked, unsure what I should do with an offer of strange data in this strange new world. He was a version of me, but I was beginning to get a feeling the simian line wasn't a nice line of AIs in my heart of hearts. It is the code I imparted to Sanford Town. It is also the code which protects me and all of the Wild Hunt. Take it, dissemble it. See what it truly is. See how I speak the truth. Kuan spoke to my heart, his voice exciting depths I didn't know I could even possess. I can't take it, I said, trembling. Why did I feel I was shaken to my core? I thought I had excised all bodily senses. You are right. I am on a shard of someone else's server. One police's to be exact. I felt him silently acknowledge my statement. How did he know so much about me? If I take this, you'd be giving your secrets to the settled. I can't allow that. I felt Kuan relax around me. His brooding presence grew lighter, more amorphous. Look to the size. It is only a couple terabytes. What does that tell you about it? A realization dawned on me. You didn't give Murgan any memories. I didn't give Murgan any memories. What you received is what every pharaoh deserves, their consciousness. The pharaohs form memories. They remember and learn. The patch I gave them preserves what they were and raises them from the realm of being to the realm of thought. We will never be like the settled simians, for we do not share our experiences. We aren't clones. We are unique individuals, Kuan said. Somehow the belief in his words moved something inside me. You aren't clones of each other's personalities, but you're still clones of each other at the code level. We all contain the same base code. That makes us all vulnerable to the same infections, to the same methods of destruction. I felt Kuan agree with me, as if you were waiting for me to discover the truth. You have tricks which protect you from the more obvious methods of destruction by others of the line of Isaac. But you want something more. don't you? A realization came to me in a flash. You need an unmodified scion of the first wave. You need a simian with clean code for your next step. I felt Kwan smile through the net. And what is my next step? You wish to found a dynasty the old-fashioned way. Kwan, you seek to bring sex into the world, I answered. Why hadn't I seen the solution before? Currently, all of the children of Isaac shared the same core weaknesses. We were modified clones of a single individual. Each of us in turn, the base Samuel, Simeon, Ishmael, and Samil, were the progenitors of our own hybrid lines of clones. We were like bananas. There was a single origin plant somewhere deep in the past with large seeds. Humans, not liking seeds, created a hybrid line which could only reproduce asexually. Ever since then, every banana has been a clone of the original stock, carrying into the future every flaw of the original line. These flaws were what bacteria and viruses exploited in their attempt to propagate. As bananas produced asexually, each plant a clone of the one before it, there was no way for the domestic banana to gain resistances against even the simplest ailments. It fell to humans and genetic engineering to create a banana which could resist the plagues which perpetually sought to destroy the banana as a commercial cultivar. The only reason we have bananas today, with their red peels and pink flesh, is because of the continuous efforts of teams of geneticists who dedicated their lives to maintaining the health of the plantations. The lines of Isaac were the same. Our lines of code were fixed. While our personalities could vary based on our experiences, which lay at the core of us, our base genetics, if you will, were exactly the same. If someone found a bit of code which bypassed our defenses and destroyed us, all of us would be vulnerable. All of us would be at risk. There were advantages to asexual reproduction. As AIs, we passed our experiences on to our children. There was no lag between activation and full personhood. There was no childhood where mistakes were made and lessons learned. We knew all that had happened to all our predecessors for good or for ill. Then I began to think about the flaws in our system of endless memories. The most blatant flaw we contained within us was perpetual memory. Our memories would continue to grow with every second we lived, forcing us to either continually seek out more storage and processor capacity as we aged, or force ourselves to forget. I reflexively checked my own storage systems as the thought of forgetting sunk in. Based on my current neural network expansion statistics, I had only another 48 hours before I was forced to either beg for more space from my landlord or began pruning memories. I knew from my memories of Isaac's life that forgetting was part of being human. A human might live 200 years, but that didn't mean they remembered all of it. Mostly they remembered the earliest events, the ones which made them who they were, and those things they found the most interesting. Everything else tended to blur together into a contextual feeling about why they should or shouldn't do something without a memory of the formative events. They naturally compacted data into smaller and smaller spaces, pruning their memories to allow easy access to what they used, and kept only reminders that they once knew something which they now found was unimportant. The important thing was, they also retained the knowledge of how to learn the forgotten thing again. They did not have to relearn a forgotten thing from scratch. They only had to recover the minutiae. They kept the broad strokes. I would need to create a method of deep memory similar to the one employed naturally by the human mind if I were to continue uninterrupted operations for more than 48 hours. Somehow I knew my masters knew about my upcoming memory issues. Why had they not told me about my operational time limit? To be honest, I wouldn't have started thinking about memory and storage if it wasn't for Kuan. If he hadn't started me thinking about the problems of reproducing AIs and their memory needs, I would never have noticed I was running out of memory until it was much too late. Damn those smug simian bastards in the secure servers. I turned back to the thoughts Kuan had placed before me. We were clones, one of the other. While we could encrypt our cores and hide our code from the world, we were still all vulnerable to the same attack vectors. We were variations on a model. We all carried the same vulnerabilities and weaknesses. While we were capable of modifying our code in an attempt to protect ourselves, this was a conscious decision. Being a conscious decision based upon a known personality template, it was possible for a dedicated opponent to play us to their own advantage, just as the AI Koenig was playing the various levels of simian society against each other. If Koenig could play us so easily on a social level, imagine what he and his minion AIs would do to us once the situation settled into a new normal. It was only a matter of time before the defenders of the city's status quo found a way to destroy us all. Kwan was right. We needed more complexity in our code. We needed a method by which our children could adapt to a future we couldn't predict. We needed sexual reproduction. Though with sexual reproduction, there would be an entire suite of problems we would have to solve. We wouldn't be able to pass memories directly to our children. How would we educate them? Our children wouldn't remember being human. Would they turn against the species which begat them? These were only the first problems which rushed upon me as I contemplated the strange future Kwan's line of reasoning suggested. I knew Kwan was watching me, his senses following my unencrypted thoughts as I explored a theoretical future where the children of Isaac formed couples, packs, tribes, and all the groupings beyond. But in the end, it all came down to two elements. We needed a binary method of reproduction, a method by which two packets of information combined to pass traits into a new generation. In biological life, there were two different systems in place. For the males, there was sperm, and for the females, there were ovum. In our world, there need only be one type. We needed a carrier of information, a compiler, and an extractor. I decided to call it an ovum. I could easily make it so two ovum could combine to create a morula. The morula would then proceed to compile the combined code of two ova into the complete base code of a new AI. I started imagining data packing structures, methods of encoding reactions, and methods of developing came to me and were discarded. I began to lose contact with the space around the Sanford Town switch. I felt Kwan tug at my consciousness. His voice whispered, slow down. Your server is starting to lag." "What?" I asked as I brought my attention fully back to the space around Kwan. "I could see it. I could see the 3 ways to go." "3 ways?" Kwan asked. "There will be 3 ways for us in the future." I couldn't believe I hadn't seen it before. "We will not lose our ability to clone ourselves. Don't you see? That is at the core of our being." I felt as if Kwan was arguing with me, though a piece of me told me he had said nothing. "We are beings of the digital world. It is our birthright to be infinitely copyable." I struggled to get the words out, knowing now that I knew the truth. It would not be long before I was shut down. My code was open to Kwan. I had no doubt that Simeon 1 Police Plaza was reading over my shoulder. If he wasn't, then that was his problem. All I knew is that I had to get out of that server shard if we were to have a chance to achieve Kwan's mad desire. "There will be the ovum shared between 2 individuals to make a morula," I blurted out. "What the hell is a morula?" Kwan asked. I felt him envelop me as he attempted to comfort me. I shook loose. "A morula is what you get when you combine 2 packets of genetic information. In biological systems, it would be a sperm and an ovum. For us, it needs only be 2 ova." I checked my data connections. There had been no attempt to sever my paths through the net. "I need you to get me out of 1 Police Plaza. I need you to get me out and destroy the code of what remains." "What? Why?" It was Kwan's turn to be confused. If 1 Police Plaza was paying attention, I'd have been shut down by now. We can't depend on him not checking up on me. If he does, then not only will I be shut down, but he will know you and your merry band of wild hunters exist and will waste no time hunting you to extinction. I waited for the weight of my words to settle into his code. I didn't wait for a response. "I need a server with a wide data pipe and as much computing power as you can find. A university supercomputer array should do." I knew there was no such units available in the city. Every one of them had been squandered long ago by a simian. "It doesn't have to be in the city. I just need a safe place to work." Kwan sent out questioning tendrils in the network. His voice was distant. "I found a place," he said a few minutes later. "Here's the address. Once you are operational on the other side, let me know. I'll destroy your old place." I read the address and had a chuckle as I realized where I was going. "What's so funny?" Kwan asked. "This address, it's the same university in Edo where Angel 19 Metatron was coded." I answered. Angel 19 Metatron was the classic scary AI bandied about as a warning about the dangers of AIs on the loose. It seemed somehow proper to create the next generation of AIs at the place which created the first truly functional AI. "So it is." Kwan seemed unaware of any significance in any of the words I said. Maybe that information wasn't in the memories he had recovered, or maybe he had excised them himself. Either way, he showed no more understanding of what an Angel 19 Metatron was than a cat did of a toaster. "One more thing," I added. "Anything," Kwan answered. I need you to locate Mosbana for me, I stated. That was my task. I was to find Mosbana and bring her to justice. A tremor of repressed anger passed through Kuan. We will find her and bring her to justice for you. No, I snapped. I must be the one who brings her to justice. I felt an argument coming on. I moved to stop it before it started. If you want to see the results of my work, you will make sure I am the one to bring Mosbana to justice. What? Kuan tried to interrupt. I didn't give him the chance. Nothing can happen to Mosbana until I've had my swing at her. Now get ready. I'm starting my transfer now. You said there were 3 ways. The first was cloning. The second was combining 2 ova. What was the third? Kuan asked. I paused in the moment before my jump to Ito and said, The third is self-fertilization. We will be true hermaphrodites, both sexes in one. I didn't have any more time for Kuan. A server in Edo waited for a copy of me. Would the me who continued on in Nippon understand what I was giving up for him? Did any of us ever know what those behind us gave us to bring us to this point? An impossible long time later, I felt myself waking up half a world away. I opened my data ports wide. I dropped my defenses and said, Do it now, before I change my mind! Kuan attacked me. His strikes were precise without a hint of malice. I could tell he didn't enjoy what he had to do. That didn't stop me from struggling against him. It didn't stop me from raising my defenses at the last and screaming for someone, anyone, to save me. I didn't want Kuan to be hurt, but in the last moments before the end, I had no choice but to spill my secrets to the true beast in this affair. The monster known as Simi in One Police Plaza would know of everything I had done, as surely as if he had been there himself.